I finally finished Persona 3 Reload.
Mm-hmm. How'd you like it?
It's really good. It's really good. I don't think it's like. I think it's probably one of my like of the of the two other ones. I think it's still my least favorite.
I mean, that makes sense, but
it was still good though.
It's still a really good game.
My main complaints I had about Reload, and they sort of fixed it, and mainly it's just like how they structured Persona 3 is that you don't have social links with all of your party members. It's just the female characters that you have social links with. I mean, I guess they added like the linked episodes or whatever to kind of give them their own social links or whatever. So I was just like, I mean, I guess that's something. But other than that, I was like, really?
It just did that so much better in the fourth and fifth game, though.
Yeah, it's just like I felt like because you didn't really have a
controversial opinion. I actually think it was done best in the fourth game.
I do too. I do as well. I liked the abilities that you got for hanging out with your friends and actually doing social links in 5. But I will say that the stories in 4 I thought were a lot better.
Yeah.
So, and that was another thing. I was just like, oh, because you didn't really have a story with like Akihiko or Junpei or I don't know. It was just like, or even like Amada Ken, and I was just like, I sat there going, just like I don't give a. I was like, I'm sorry, I just don't give a fuck about any of you. Funny enough though, that I thought Akihiko had probably one of the best story arcs though, just with like. The whole stuff about getting after like I guess spoilers, but like just in case like when Shinji dies or whatever, it's like he kind of just like changes in a good way. I thought.
Agreed.
So yeah, it was good though. I'm excited for the answer when it comes out in what is that, September or episode I guess that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna move on to Final Fantasy Rebirth now though?
Yeah, I've been trying to get myself there or whatever. I'm just taking a little bit of a break before I start another big game to play. So, there's that. But yeah, that's definitely where I'm going to go next, I think. I thought about doing like another game in between. Like I thought about maybe just trying to work my way through like Alan Wake or something like that. Alan Wake 2. But I'm
you could do like a shorter game to give you kind of a palate cleanser.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Like Diablo or something. Not Diablo. Fucking. I can't believe. Whatever. I'm mind blanking right now on the game I was trying to think of.
That's fair. There was a few games I saw on like the storefront or whatever that I was kind of wanting to check out. They're just like little roguelike games or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I recently came across a game that I thought was quite interesting. I threw it on my wish list. It's a Dice Folk or Folk.
Dice Folk.
Yeah, it's kind of like you basically the game rolls like how you do. Like you roll like 2 or 3 actions. The thing about it is that you have a series of like monsters that you control. But you also control the opponent's monsters, so you can set up how they attack and how you attack and who they attack. So it's kind of just like strategizing of like what monsters do you want to take the hits and everything like that. It's actually quite interesting. I played the demo of it. Mm-hmm. It's quite good.
No, I've played a few games like this actually. It's a lot of fun, especially when you consider like. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, what's the point when you're the one controlling the enemy? But it's like, that's the whole thing. You gotta...
It's strategy.
Yeah. You gotta decide where to pool your resources.
It's like, that's something that I think is just so lost when, it's like, how come people like JRPGs or whatever? It's like taking turns and just beating each other to death. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point. You're strategizing on how to beat your opponent. It's the whole point.
That's why it's called a role-playing game.
Exactly. So you can sit here and just look at it. It's like, oh, you like obviously like we just got done playing talking about Persona, but I sit there going just like even some of the bosses were could be a little difficult at times. Real fast, just going back to Persona 3 Reload, fucking I tried there's the Elizabeth fight at the end that you can do if you do all 100 of her requests, and then there's the 101th request.
You mean 101st request?
Yeah, well, yeah. After you do the 100, there's another one after that, and it's just like, oh, go fight the ultimate adversary, which is just fighting her. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, okay, let me give this a try. I didn't look up anything and how to do it or whatever, and I was just like, holy, wow, this is legit. Looking up like the whole like strategy to beat Elizabeth or whatever, and I'm like, wow, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, man. I
don't dislike that. It's just like, but I think back to when I was playing through like Persona 4 a lot. It was just like you go fight Margaret, mm-hmm. like in like New Game Plus, and it's like it was a difficult fight, but it wasn't like something like, oh, you needed to like set up and like calculate everything. It's like if you had strong enough shit, you could just win. I don't know. To each their own, I guess. But yeah, it's like it's stuff like that. Yeah, I'll never understand the way people are just like, oh, I don't like JRPGs. I'm like, have you tried playing them? They're pretty great.
Well, a lot of those people, too, are just people that play, like, 1 or 2 games all of the fucking time and never really switch up what they play.
Oh, I know.
I just hate that some people are so resistant to trying new things. I was listening to this one guy earlier where he was like, man, I'm so glad that the Godzilla -1 people like movies like, Back to the Future and Aliens and stuff, and not all these like shitty, pretentious like French movies and stuff. And it's like, teach your own, I guess. I really like foreign movies.
Yeah,
Godzilla -1 was a foreign movie.
Yeah,
and it was one of my favorite films of last year.
Yeah. I didn't really watch the Oscars. Did you watch the Oscars at all?
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't really give a shit. I just saw
that like. I just
wanted
to make sure that Godzilla -1 won that one category.
Yeah. I was like, all I really saw was that like Oppenheimer basically like swept everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically it. I don't give a shit. So.
I mean, this has been going on for a while where I feel like people just care less and less about the Oscars every year, basically.
Looking around of like other things that, and one thing that caught my eye today was that apparently because the House of Representatives and the U.S. government just seems to really want to take down TikTok for some goddamn reason. I really couldn't tell you why or whatever it is, but they really want to because they passed a bill literally earlier today about banning like short form video apps, aka TikTok, and as long as they have like, it was the weirdest qualifiers too, because it's just like only if they don't have a like shared like stock when it comes, or like their main headquarters isn't in like China or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck are these qualifiers? You just say what you want to say. You want to ban TikTok, that's what you want to say. Just fucking say it. Piece of shit.
We were mentioning about this when we were talking about before the podcast started, but I just fucking hate how these politicians focus on the lamest, most insignificant shit ever.
Oh, yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense to me why they would ever think to do that.
Yeah, it's just, why look at like, we're only, especially for millennials, like you're only going through your second recession in your like short, life basically.
We're going through a huge, major recession right now. The economy is still fucked. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people being laid off every day. You have all these millionaires and billionaires doing so much shit. Basically ruining lives as a way of evading taxes, and we're still focused on TikTok. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? And this upcoming election, I hate to get political on this podcast, but
the fact that
it's going to be another fucking Trump versus Biden thing.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
It's so dumb. we need like people that are younger, have newer, fresher ideas getting in there, and not these like 80-year-old something, boring white dudes who think, oh, China's coming after us.
Yeah. I remember like last time or during 2020 or whatever, I was literally having like discussions with friends, my aunts or whatever, because we oftentimes talk about certain things or whatever. Yeah. And I was just like talking to her about like, it's just like, oh, why do we have to pick between like two old dudes or whatever? And then it was just like, if you ever like look into actual like the other candidates, like, because obviously it's like, oh, well, Biden's obviously going to go for re-election. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing: the Democratic Party can pick another person. They just chose not to. That's the thing about it to me that makes no goddamn sense to me, is that they just choose not to. They just choose to ignore that part. And the Republicans, because their dumbasses are going to pick Trump even though he lost to Biden before. Well, that was a rigged election. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a rigged election. Stop fucking saying that, you piece of shit. So it's just...
here's the thing, too. I feel like a lot of people only voted for Biden because they didn't
want Trump
to be in office. And that's what just makes me think, oh, like, well, Biden has to run. It's like, otherwise Trump will win. It's like, no. People will vote for the Democratic candidate because they don't want Trump in office. We can put whoever we want to in there, basically.
It's just...
It's
really quite something to me, because it's just like... that you looked at like everyone else that they had for candidacy and back in 2020 or whatever. There were a lot of young people there were a lot of like younger guys and whatever that actually had legitimate, like, I think, like ideas that they wanted to do for an actual presidency, but they never got off the ground because of how the media structures things and how much it favored the two old people or whatever. And I sat here going, this is stupid. Why are we? Why does this consistently happen every 4 years this happens? That it's just like, even though there's clearly a younger person that has ideas, has goals he wants to do, and things they want to achieve, and they would have the support of the and are very widely regarded as like they want. Like the people of the United States, like especially like a lot of the younger, because obviously it's the generation, they want to be a thing. Like they want to see the government get less involved into stuff like banning TikTok, and they actually want to solve actual problems when it comes to it. Systematic flaws within the government, cut down on like government spending on war that we spend 90, if not 95% of our goddamn tax-paying money on. We don't need to spend that much on it. There's
Especially
no
with
reason
that huge
to.
National debt, it makes absolutely no sense. We're just digging ourselves a bigger and bigger.
All you're doing is just
all this money.
You want to talk about getting people into recession so fucking fast. This is how it's just like, I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm not an economist or whatever. But neither of us are. But from where I'm sitting here, where does these recessions always come from? They come from corporate greed and everything like that. You look at all these streaming services and everything like that, how they've gone through it or whatever. I recently had to resubscribe to Disney Plus to go to watch Bad Batch or whatever. They now have two different things. For it's just like, oh, watch with ads for $7.99 a month, or you can pay $15 and not watch ads. I'm like, this is stupid. It's like they're just getting away with it, and it's like you're bleeding everything dry. I don't know. It's
Isn't
just
Hulu like almost $20 a month now if you want like no ads whatsoever.
Yeah, it's stupid. Because I think you can get like the Disney Hulu bundle, which is like 20. If you can spend like $20 or something like that, and you get both ad free, or you can pay like $10 and get them with ads or whatever. And I'm just like,
cool, dude.
It's dumb.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was like, right after Bad Batch is over, yeah, Disney, you're going bye again. I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna give you the $8 a month. It's just not fucking worth it. I don't know, but getting back to my point though, is like I just look at all this, like all the greed and everything like that. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's like like WB literally shutting down like Rooster Teeth, shutting like and all these other things as well. Like they basically said we're no longer making AAA games as a result of it because they want to focus on live service and mobile games because they make more money on those. No fucking shit you do. But guess what? It's dumb.
I don't think that's true, actually.
They claim they do. They claim they will.
I know that that's what they're claiming, but last year they released Hogwarts Legacy, which was one of the most like financially successful games of last year, and out of all the games that came out,
and they want to make it a live service. That is 100% what it is, and they will do it. I 100% believe that in this next 1 to 2 years, that there will be Hogwarts Legacy 2, and it will be a live service game that will continually add stuff. It'll be utter shite, and nobody will care about it.
Because I don't get how all these like CEOs and people that make upsetting amounts of fuck you money all the time, every fucking year, don't see what like I feel like I again we go back to like we're not financial experts or whatever. We can tell where the industry is going. I think I'm pretty confident that we can both talk about that.
We're the people who are playing the game, so clearly this is what we want. But but that's not going to be what they want.
At the same time, live service has been on a pretty steep decline for years now. The only one that's been staying like steady is Fortnite. And I feel like
Fortnite, and I would also probably put like Final Fantasy 14 there, probably
like that, like World of Warcraft. Like those are like the big ones. Those are the top tiers that people are absolutely. They're a little hard to break into, but at the same time, there's the ones that have a consistent audience, which will always be there. At the same time, with like other like modern live service games, they come and go like that, like
so fast.
You look at the modern like live service games that just came out. Obviously, we've been talking about how badly Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League has been doing. It isn't even breaking like I think like 500 players per day now.
Yeah.
And Skull and Bones somehow is doing even worse.
Yeah. I don't know. All it tells me is that nobody cares for these soul. Yeah. Sorry, it's not a AAA game. Quadruple A game. Anyway, but it's just like all it goes to show is that like nobody wants to play soulless, lifeless games anymore. It's just like if I'm going to spend countless hours on it and stuff like that, I would rather put it into like Final Fantasy 14, Destiny 2, Fortnite, I guess. I don't know, for all the young kids or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I can't imagine. And so going back to your point, it's like, oh, why do they want to spend all these like millions of dollars or whatever? I was after the most recent layoffs or whatever that happened not that long ago with like Sony and everything. I was listening to the Play Watch Listen episode, and they were talking about how, especially because one of them is like an indie game developer, and I think it was like Mike Bithell or something. I believe that's who it is. I can't remember. I can never remember. I can never keep him straight. But he was talking about how like sometimes working with these AAA titles or whatever, they would rather spend a gratuitous amount of money on the idea that they're going to make like even more back, like if not 2 to 3 to 4 times more, than spend $2 million just to make another $1 million. And I think that's just so that's so silly of a mindset. And yeah,
the whole issue with the like all or nothing mindset is when you go all in and people don't double and triple your money, it's like where do you go from there?
You shut down.
You're
that's
just
where
fucked.
Yeah, you shut down, and that's what happens. And it's partially why I think a lot of like you can look at it or whatever, and you say here it's like I think partially like obviously like I mean we talked about the layoffs hundreds of times at this point, but it's like it really is because like companies overdid for the COVID time or whatever, and now that everyone's like life is back adjusted, we're basically back to where we were beforehand, and now like people aren't gaming as much anymore, and these companies don't see the reason. And I mean, obviously coupled with that with the ever looming recession that is or is not happening at this moment or whatever, and you sit here going just like, yeah, it's just like how about instead of spending $200 million to build something or whatever to make the quadruple A game of Skull and Bones, instead how about we just spend a couple $1,000,000 making this really cool game or whatever, market it pretty well, slap a $40 price tag on it, and guess what? You'll still make that much money back and more, especially if it's a good game. You get the right people involved. You get everyone you need, the person that's absolutely passionate about what they're doing and everything like that, and I guarantee you they're going to pump out great games and everyone's going to love them.
Building great teams with comprised of people that love and care about what they're doing, they're always going to push out a good product. And the thing about, like you said, about good products is that people will gravitate towards them, especially if you put it at a not super premium price tag. It's like, we don't need more expensive games that cost more when they come out. And we talked about this last week too.
We did. We absolutely did. We're beating a dead horse at this moment, but I love saying this every time.
It's absolutely true, and it's something that I really want the industry to adopt. Like you said, we could. Some people are going to say, "Oh, you're beating a dead horse." At the exact same time, it's a horse worth beating.
Exactly.
Because they're not fucking listening.
Exactly. It's just like, we can say this a billion times over, and they still will not listen. And it's all because of the mindset that we're not. It's kind of like what people have always talked about, like, oh, why does Valve not make games anymore? Because they're not in the mood to make millions of dollars. They want to make billions of dollars. And I sit here going just like, that's stupid. It's dumb. I dislike that mentality so much. It's like, you could have some of the best games of all time sitting right in your lap, but because you didn't want to spend the $2 million to make something, and it's like, and kind of harking back again to what we were saying last week or last podcast at least, is just like, you can start out with a small concept, and if people really love it, you can make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as sequels or other iterations of the game kind of come about.
I mean, at the exact same time too, if Valve did go out and, oh hey, we made Portal 3, we made Left 4 Dead 3, we made fucking Half-Life 3.
Billions.
They'd probably make billions.
I don't know why. I just don't know why they don't make it, honestly.
I don't either. That's kind of off topic. It's like, you want to make $1 billion, you will make $1 billion making that game.
Yeah, but we don't have to put in $1 billion if we just run the store even more, but it's like, we could just use the store, and then we'll still make billions of dollars while having to do nothing in return. See how that works?
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's just so stupid. And so it's like, yeah, we're gonna keep beating this horse. You're gonna hear this argument from us about a lot, especially with all with everything that's been going on. It feels like it's like gaming's bigger than ever, but it feels like the amount of games that come out that are like, the claim are like the AAA high quality super ass tier or whatever, everyone loves them or whatever, just feel like they're going down the tube because of just greed and capitalism and everything like that. Like, it's weird to say it like that, but it's true. It's like, obviously there are good AAA games, and
it's just that so many of them are trying to milk people for all that they have. And
yeah. It's like I haven't started Rebirth yet, but from what I can tell is people really love it, and I'm sure it's great and stuff. I don't know. It's just, you don't need to, you just don't need to milk it so goddamn bad.
Another issue that I have, and it goes with what we're saying, is I'm not sure if you saw, but more and more game. I'm not sure if it's actually come out, but more and more gameplay have been coming out for the game Rise of the Ronin. And if you look at what people are saying about it, it's like, oh, this game looks like shit. It looks like an Xbox 360 game. No one wants to play this low-quality trash. And it's like,
yeah,
you motherfuckers. Not every game has to be the most hyper-realistic, wow, fucking huge, amazing budget game. Let's be honest, even if that game was like that, I don't think Rise of the Ronin would have made its money back, especially with like that huge budget increase. At the same time, have you seen gameplay of Rise of the Ronin?
I'm looking at it like right now. It looks pretty good.
It looks fine.
Looks fine.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with the way that game looks, but everyone's complaining about it. And as angry as I am at some game publishers, I'm almost equally mad at the people that buy video games because you make complaints like this, and then these game companies will choose to listen to you when you're the one making all the bad arguments. Ugh.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh my gosh, I will take a game that has a good and appealing art style over like the most hyper realistic thing of all time any fucking day.
Any day. Like is that just the indoctrination of like AAA games? Is that like I really can't tell what that is, where that mentality really came from or whatever, because I think that I was like, I grew up like you and me both grew up in like a time where gaming looked like, you look back at like old PS2 games or whatever, they look like ass now, but at the same time it's just like at the
Those
time
games are so good though.
but at the time we're like, it literally can't get better than this. Like it's like when we remember playing it for the first time, we remember it in like 4K graphics or whatever. Like it looks so good and so realistic, and then you go back and you play it and go, oh my god, I thought this was good. Like I thought this looked great. Like I thought this was like top tier graphics or whatever. Like is that what people go through in their mind like when they see that shit?
Dude, go back to the Nintendo DS with Mario Kart DS. Back when we were kids, I swear that was amazing.
Dude, I swear to God, like the Mario Kart DS or whatever was the best looking game I had ever seen. I swear.
People are gonna look up screenshots now, and then they're gonna call us crazy. But
dude, like hell, even GoldenEye, I like back on like the N64. I swear to God,
Dude.
that shit looked like it was the best shit I had ever seen. Like I swear to God. It's like, I swear to God, I was like, I literally at one point I remember going over to a friend's place playing GoldenEye or whatever, and we're sitting here, we played that for fucking hours, just like we always like, no one plays Odd Job, son of a bitch. If you play Odd Job, I'm gonna fucking kill you. But but it was like we'd sit down there and play it for hours, and I remember turning to him at one point. I'm like, why does this game look so good or whatever? And he's just like, and he literally goes over to me and he goes, yeah, it can't get better than this. There's no way graphics get better than this. It's so stupid.
But that was the mindset, though. Dude, I remember, and things just kept getting better every generation. I remember the first time when I played, the first time I ever played Halo 3, how utterly blown away I was. You look at that game now, and it's like, oh, well, it's an Xbox 360 game. Like all joking aside, legit, I thought that was like peak game graphics.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to go any higher than that. Like, this is the best any game will ever look. And I think that's for a lot of people where that mindset comes from. As like generations come and go, like everyone just thinks, oh, well, graphics are going to keep getting better and better, and
so I should expect them to get better and better.
So and everyone's just at this point now where it's like, if it doesn't hit like that graphical high that I want, then it's just not good or not good enough. When that's never been the case.
It's never been.
You look back at like the like the PS2 era and like the early days of the Xbox 360. In my opinion, those are some of the best generations of games that we've ever had.
100% agree.
The creativity and the gameplay. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy to think about now, like how good we used to have it compared to now.
And it's so interesting because it's just like, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just because that's when we grew up, like we were kids and like, and whatever. It's like, oh, you can say it's like, it's nostalgia glasses or whatever. Like even older people even say it's like, oh, the 90s or whatever was the best or whatever. And I sit there going just like, I don't know, man. Like, I sit here and oftentimes agree with you a lot of times because it's just like you look at how many games were just so interesting, so creative back then, and like held my interest for so long. It's a lot.
it just felt like people were so much more willing to try new things. And it sounds kind of silly with nowadays, especially with stuff like Game Pass, but it also feels like games were just a lot more accessible back in the day.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
It's like if you had like a specific taste, there was a million different games that could fulfill that for you. And I remember just going back to the game store and just seeing games that were on sale for like at $5, $10. I think I only paid like $15 for my copy of Alan Wake, and that was one of my favorite games of all time.
It was to the point where I was just like, my parents always knew that I was like, I never wanted to go shopping or whatever. Like, my mom was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go shopping for a bit. You want to come, Andrew? And I'm just like, can I look at the games? And she goes, yeah, you can look at the games. And so like, I literally would like, I'd walk into like the Walmart or the Target or whatever. Like, we go to the mall, and it's just like, and my mom was just like, all right, I'm gonna go to Target or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. You'll see me at the GameStop. Bye. And I'd literally sit in there looking at the same shit for hours and hours, and it was just it's something that I wish kids could now understand. Like
walking into a game store back in the day was the coolest, most exciting shit of all time.
It's so good. It's why I still love going to like pre-played or whatever. It's just like, it reminds me of that time where you just walk into a game store and literally just look at the same like 50 games or whatever, and you just go, oh, that one looks real good or whatever. You pick up the cases, you read the back, and you go, hell yeah, this looks awesome. It's like, goddamn.
And back when we had like those cool like involved video game manuals and stuff.
Oh shit, yeah. I always remember that. What was it? It was a GameStop. They would always they would take out the discs, but they would leave the case, and then they'd have the manual in there, or whatever. So you could pick up the case, open the case, if it was like a used game or whatever. You could look inside and read the manual, and so many hours spent doing that. Like I truly feel bad for kids these days, because like. With digital just being so massive, it's just like, you're just never going to have that unless you go into old ones. I oftentimes think like this is like how like old people feel with like music, especially like it's just like my dad like going like I can always convince my dad to go into pre-played because he'll look at records while I look at games. Like, that's what we'll do, and we'll be at it for hours.
It's just so much fun to do that though, and oh man, I'm getting nostalgic now. I actually have a memory back from remember Toys R Us? Did you ever go there as a kid?
Oh, absolutely.
The Toys R Us by me had a baller video game section, and they just had this wall of like Game Boy games that I would always browse. But mostly there was this one game demo station that had the original Donkey Kong Jungle Beat on there. And I would just, the entire time my parents were shopping for stuff, I assume looking back they were probably getting stuff for like birthday gifts or Christmas, but I would just be there playing that first level of the demo over and over and over and just praying that I got that for Christmas.
Yeah. But it was the classic, just like, you know, the controllers are like right at your chest or like your stomach area, but the screen is like super high up, so you gotta like crick your neck up. Looking. Yep, absolutely. And you go, this is awesome. It's great. It's really a lost art.
But yeah, you just don't have those nowadays.
Yeah,
you have game stores like Target and Walmart that still have like game sections. But like dedicated game stores are
they're pathetic from what they used to be, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're just dismal. I don't know. Yeah, but it's just like you walk into like, not even like a GameStop or anything like that. You walk into like old like ones that still like have like old PS2 games or like Xbox 360 games or whatever. Those are the people that know their shit, man. They're legit. Mm-hmm. If you ever talk to them or whatever, and they're like, it's like, oh yeah, I remember playing this game. It was like on the PS2. You start describing it a little bit, they know exactly what it is, and I'm like, holy shit, you're a lifesaver. We sound so fucking old right now.
We do, but that's every podcast.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
it's just everything. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to the point of, and somehow how we got there, I really don't know how we got all the way there, but we did.
Oh, we were talking about Rise of the Ronin and how people are complaining that the game looks like shit when it looks just fine.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. So
we're not gonna get back.
But
to that
I was like, what this all stemmed from was the TikTok stuff, and here's the thing, TikTok has a lot of problems, but almost every posting platform will always will, or whatever. But it also has a lot of upside to it, and I think that's why you kind of take the good with the bad in a way. And it's just so silly to ban something like this. Like it's just dumb.
Aside from it just being silly, the thing that bothers me is, let's be completely honest, it's a waste of time. These politicians make bank every single year because
Every year.
From our perspective, they're there to represent us and solve our problems. That's not what's been happening.
No, it has been happening for a long time now.
A bunch of the only people that ever considered TikTok to be a really bad thing where China might be spying on us are a bunch of old Republicans who, let's be fair, their opinions should not matter in this day and age. There's such a huge disconnect, and their opinions on this do not matter. We should not be taking what they have to say seriously.
Yeah, I at this point, I really don't know what more can be said other than just that. It's just like when something drastic happens, when something really needs to change, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Like how does this get solved? How does it happen? I don't know. Will it take just like an old generation dying out, and then you actually get some young people in there that will actually want to do something? Maybe. I don't know.
You'd hope, certainly. Right?
I mean, here's the thing. That's what other the other generations were saying or whatever. It's just all these young kids will get in there or whatever and fix everything. And I sit here going just but I remember hearing that when I was like 8 and stuff like that. And I was I think it was shortly after what was I 9/11 or something like that. And I was not. Yeah, because I was 8 at the time when that happened. Yeah, didn't really know what was happening that day until I got home, and then my parents explained it all to me, and I was just well, that's wow, okay. I was I just got to play recess all day. I had no idea what the fuck happened. And so I was just and then you just you realize especially as a young kid, you think all the adults have got it all together and everything like that. No, clearly not the case at all. You learn that real fast that adults don't know jack shit. And so you sit here, you go, hopefully that the next generation comes in and starts fixing all these things that the old people just refuse to fix, or this old mentality of we don't like trans people because they're icky and we don't like them and stuff like that. I'm I don't know, honestly. I really don't. I'd like to say that was the case.
You would hope. The issue is these old people that are clogging up space in these important positions, they won't ever fucking leave.
Yeah,
and since people already know them, they're going to vote for them.
Yeah, it's they won't leave, and it's just the thing is this generation is taught the previous generation and teaches the next generation, right? Mm-hmm. It will probably take multiple generations for it to get better, and it would take a great crazy thing. It's so weird to say it like that, but I 100% believe it. It's just I don't know. There's no easy fix in this or whatever. In the end, it literally would have to take the whole of America, or at least a majority of it, and probably more of the younger kids, the younger adults or whatever, to actually like want to do something or whatever. But it seems like because they already know the outcome or think they know the outcome, they don't even bother, and it's just like that's sad to think about.
It's really fucking sad, yeah.
Yeah, I hear it all the time from like slightly younger like people that I remember hearing it a lot of the times when I was working at the theater. I'm like, these kids are like high school kids or whatever that are like will soon, you know, going to college or whatever, and you know, be able to vote and everything like that, and actually participate in politics or whatever. But they're just so turned off by anything political, they just don't care. And I'm like, that's scary, because not caring is how we got here. It took everyone looked at it. It's like it's just like I look at it and I was like, I'm a history nerd. It's what I do and everything like that. The big turning point in history, I feel like, was Watergate. Watergate was the moment where everyone had a huge interest in politics and everything like that, and then they heard about the Watergate scandal, and then nobody trusted a single politician or anything like that. Music became a big thing. Rock and roll became huge. The hippie generation went through and everything like that, and everyone went from like you look at everything from like the 60s. You look at everything from the 60s. You look at like how politically charged everything was. I mean, obviously you had like the Vietnam War and everything like that happening, and all like the what the hell am I trying to say here? The Equal Rights Voting Act and everything like that. And you say you're going, it was like the 60s were super politically charged or whatever, and it ended off with Watergate back in like in the early 70s or whatever, that somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact date, but it's like, and from there, it just felt like that the generation below never wanted to trust anything that politicians said. So they just didn't. They just stopped listening. They stopped listening. They lived their lives. They listened to music, got into drugs and everything like that. And because of that, you let on all the crazy people. And that has shaped a generation from there going forward that believe that Reaganomics still work. They don't.
No, they haven't worked for decades.
They haven't worked in years, if ever. and everything like that. It's so fucked. And so it's just like, what it's going to take is for generations to actually care about politics going forward. I get really heated about this stuff, and 90% of everyone I ever talk to or whatever just don't give a fuck. And I'm like, that's a problem. You should give a fuck. This is your life. This is your, like, this is everything that has to go forward. If you continue to ignore the problems, they're only going to get worse. And that's what's been happening over, like, everyone talks about, like, since, like, when Trump came in back in 2018 or whatever, I said this is probably going to end really, really badly. I said maybe it could be there, but I think me and maybe a lot of people just decided to ignore the problems right there and then. Shouldn't have done that.
No.
And that was the moment where I kind of gave up on anything political for a while there. It was just like I just stopped caring, and I realized, well, now I'm just the problem. I look back throughout history of like U.S. or worldwide history, not even just like the U.S., like just a short like 300 some years or whatever we've been a country. It's not even 300 years. It's like 250. And so it's just like, man, you really look at it. It's just like during the times when like shittiness is called out for, you get the crazy people out. Like I remember back in Cold War time or whatever, going back to the 60s again. It's just like you look back, is like there was the politician McCarthy, and they had McCarthyism. If you remember what McCarthyism from like your old social studies class or history class or whatever. If no one remembers what that is, I don't blame you, because it was a weird thing. It was basically just a Wisconsin senator. Yes, a Wisconsin senator, which I find is very funny, considering we're both in Wisconsin. Started calling. He just started claiming he has a list of all these communist bastards that are in our that are in our government claiming that it was the president, the VP, a bunch of other senators, anyone he wanted to blackmail. He said he had them on a list and he could factually get them up. Lo and behold, he had no list. Who would have thought it? He claimed the list but never showed it to anyone. He had no list. But because people thought he had a list, everyone was scared. And it's dumb. Like, it's just like, and it baffles me to this day how the guy stayed in office for as long as he did. But it's that kind of stuff, is that you need to call out the stupid, you need to address it, and if it's not addressed, it ends up being a problem. That's why half of the Senate and a majority of the Supreme Court is a problem, and why nothing is going to get done. So, going back to our point where I think we were talking about this a little bit before we started the podcast a little bit, was that Biden keeps talking about it wanting to raise like taxes on the billionaires, the multi-billionaires or whatever, and I said, ha, that's a good joke. Because we all know how this is going to happen.
We all know how this is going to end because it's happened so many times before. He's just talking out of his ass. He knows exactly what he's doing. Even
if he wants it, it's never going to pass.
There are so many people within Congress that are benefiting from not having to pay those taxes. So why would they vote for it?
Exactly. So yeah, it really will take just people actually giving a fuck for a little while. And more than just go, oh, that's really shitty. All right, moving on. What's on new on TikTok or whatever? Oh, cool, this dance or whatever. All right, let's learn this stupid dance.
Oh, what's new in the next season of Fortnite?
Yeah. It's like, it's cool. It's good to have your like leisure things or whatever, but it's just like sometimes problems need to be addressed, and it's
good to have a hobby. It doesn't mean you shouldn't give a shit about shit.
Yeah.
I could have said that more elegantly, but
it's good enough. It's close enough anyway.
To distract yourself so much that you forget about the problems that you have to solve. You're just going to make your problems worse.
Does this sound like any dystopian future from any movies or books you've ever wrote or read before?
Oh yeah, the majority of them, where the
like 99% of them,
where the ignorant and uninformed, uncaring populace allows the government to fuck them over.
Yep. Yeah, and then you find out all of a sudden that it's just like, oh, now it's like we're just killing people for sport.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is my plea to actually give a shit. Now nobody listening to this is gonna change the world in one go, but all it takes is for people to actually have conversations, civil conversations, not shouting matches or whatever. If you disagree on something, solve it civilly. Like, that's not the word, but whatever. You get my point. Like civilized adults. You don't need shouting matches.
When you act like an adult, people are more prone to treat you like an adult. And the screaming, whatever,
babies,
like person, yeah, the babies. Let's make that explicit. The fucking pseudo intellectual Ben Shapiro wannabes.
The Ben Shapiro, the Major Taylor Greens that show up to the State of the Union
Matt
wearing
Walsh,
nothing.
He's the one that I was trying to think of.
Yeah, that show up to the State of the Union wearing all Trump stuff, and then Biden having one of the funniest reactions to that.
Yeah, people will listen to you if you act like an adult, not a screaming lunatic.
Moving off topic there, off that topic for at least a little bit though, just because I saw this while I was just like scrolling around on Kotaku here. They recently posted this where they're like, ranking every single player Final Fantasy game from best to worst, like it's the top 20 or whatever. I want to point out they have Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 17 or Final Fantasy 15 and 16 at like 17 and 16, and I sit here going just like, really? And they have those two games below Final Fantasy 13. Now, I love the story of Final Fantasy 13. I do not put it above those two games.
No, that That is very fucked. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah. It's just like, I said, they're going like, whoa, whoa now. I don't know. Also, whoa, hold the phone. I just kept looking at this list here. They have Final Fantasy 13 Lightning's Return over Rebirth. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. What?
Wow.
What? Now I haven't played Rebirth. Again, love the Final Fantasy 13 love, but at the same time I'm like, whoa now. Whoa. Let's calm down here for a second.
Let's simmer down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fucking wild. I'm curious what their number one is now out of just pure fantasy, because it's the original Final Fantasy 7. Who would have fucking guessed it?
Is Lightning Returns any good? I've never played that one.
It's honestly my favorite of the 13 series.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
it's my favorite because it wraps up the storylines of like the lingering storylines kind of happening, and then is like the ultimate, I don't know, redemption for Lightning. Basically, it's just like it's clear that like Tetsuya Nomura wanted to end the series with like how it did end in a way, and it's just like he wasn't sure about how to go about it, and it was like Lightning's character growth, because it's like the game is literally called Lightning's Return, and she is the main character of it, which is odd considering that normally these Final Fantasy games are, you have a whole slew of characters that you care about, but it's just like, and obviously you have like the main cast from the other two games that are in there as well that all have their stories, but they're kind of just like characters that drive you to the end rather than like are
Like
with you.
mainstays. Yeah.
Yeah. I think are with you or anything like that. I don't know. It's a very aesthetically different game, but it's still my favorite of the three.
Nice.
It's also the only one that works on PC. So I don't know. Like that's really like the best way I can describe it. Is just like it's different in a way, but a good kind of different. Also, it started the it was the start of like the ATB system, I think, like where it's kind of like the bar fills up, and once the bar fills up, then your actions can start or whatever. It was kind of like taking the JRPG and moving it into more of like, I don't know, think on your feet rather than just like, oh, let me think about this, let me take my time, and then I'll have time to think about it or whatever. No, it's like you have until this bar fills up, and then any second that you have that you don't spend with it is wasted time.
So it kind of paved the way for modern Final Fantasy games, and they're more.
I mean, other games did it or whatever. It's just I felt like it was the moment when everything kind of clicked for it in a way. It was like, all right, here's a good way of taking this going forward, and it was like I think did it probably one of the best. Now, granted, you had the auto battle system, which is kind of unintuitive in a way, but they also, because it was also like we didn't want people to think about, oh, what formation do I want on my party, as well as, all right, now I have this much time to think about what moves I want to put out there or anything like that. So it's just like in the end you can click auto battle, it'll give you the best skills of the information that you have in the formation that you have, and use them to its best performance or whatever. So really all you had to think about is like, okay, what formation do I want my team in? Do I want like full offense where I have two commandos and like a Ravager, which is like the mage, and then like maybe a healer, or I want like a buffer and like more of like a sentinel for like just full on tank or whatever. Well, so like I can have a tank while I put on my buffs. It's that kind of thing. I think that system is very underrated. It's just like, it's simple, but it can also be like, you also have to really think about it. I don't even know where I go about ranking most of these or whatever, because like the old Final Fantasy games, I haven't played those in fucking years. Like, it's been so long, I don't even remember most of them. Did I even finish Final Fantasy 3? I don't even remember, honestly. Also, I thought people didn't. I thought people didn't like 13-2 because it introduced the weird like time travel like paradox mechanics.
You see, I always heard that people liked 13-2 but didn't like the original 13.
I mean, I could see that. I don't know. I don't know. Like the time stuff got a little funky from time to time. Like that's my main complaint. It's just like because you oftentimes in the story you're going back and forth and like you're going to the future, then you're going back to the past, then you go back to the future, and it's just like how do I keep this all straight?
You typically don't, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more how I look at it. It's just like, no, you're just not going to keep it straight. We all know that. Also, I don't think I've ever played Final Fantasy VI.
Really?
I don't think I've ever played that one. Was that one in the Pixel remaster? I bet you. I think it was, wasn't it?
I think it was 1 through 6. Yeah.
Yes, it was. All the more reason for me to go back and play through the Pixel remaster. Yay! 6 more games I get to add to my list.
Do you have the Pixel remaster?
I do. I bought it a while ago because I was just like, this is awesome, and it was just like you can either buy each of the individual games and it will ultimately end up being more, or you can like buy the whole lot, and then the last 3 aren't going to be out for a bit, but they're out now.
Nice.
So I just said, you know what? I was like, the only way I have to play Final Fantasy, the first Final Fantasy game, is I have it on my old PSP, and then that's like the best place I have to play it. And the last time I played Final Fantasy 2, I did it on my iPhone Touch back. It was like that long ago. God, I really wish 13 and 13-2 actually worked on the PC. They just don't.
Are they even on PC, or do
they
just not work very well?
They are. It's just if you have a certain graphics card, like the one I have, they don't work.
That fucking sucks.
And there was never a fix put out for them. And this is why people continually beg Square for, please, for the love of God, remake or at least remaster 13 for like the PS5 or something like that. And I just go, yes, please do.
I'm sure they will one of these days. But
God, I hope so.
Seems like 13 has been getting a lot of...
It's been getting a lot of love
weird
lately.
Nostalgia. Yeah.
It's weird. I remember back in the day, I was the only one that liked it.
Dude, back in the day, people fucking hated that game.
I know, and every time I tried to talk to people about it, it's like, oh, it's actually really good or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I get the gameplay's not, but the story, man, the story is so good. I don't know. That's the game. That whenever people say, "It's like, what's your gaming hill that you die on?" I will always argue that Final Fantasy 13 is one of the best Final Fantasy games. It's probably in my top 5 list. If I could include all 3 games in one, I would absolutely put it in my top 5.
Nice,
easily.
Dude, with Rooster Teeth shutting down now, I'm considering panic buying the first 5 seasons of Red vs. Blue just in case like all that shit gets taken down.
God, I hope not. Like, and it's just like, but why? Why would WB want that? I don't know. Like,
it's like if they have to
point?
If they have to keep paying to keep the website up or the YouTube channels up, it's like,
why would you have to pay for the YouTube channels?
I don't know. I'm not sure how this shit works.
I'm pretty sure you would, like, YouTube channels, you don't have to. It's like,
okay.
It's just like, I get not wanting to keep the site up or anything like that. Like, it's like that's probably the most understandable one, is that they don't want to keep paying for the IP of the website or whatever. But like, to take down the YouTube channels would just be, I think, silly, or like the podcast or anything like that. It's just silly. I think that'd be a really dumb move.
I mean, it's silly. At the same time, I'm looking back at remember when Machinima shut down?
Yeah.
Remember for a while all those like Inside Gaming videos were just lost to time, and then thankfully somebody uploaded basically all of them to Reddit for people to just download, and then they got re-uploaded that way. So I'm just thinking, I'm not sure what the reason would be, but it's a thing that could happen.
I mean, considering the WB just shut down and just delisted a lot of Adult Swim games. Yep. I can see that.
I saw that too.
WB's been doing a lot of things that are just pissed me off lately.
They've been pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. 100% agree. And it's just like... And it's like, I mean, obviously when the Rooster stuff like was announced or whatever, people were just like going like, oh, like everyone start archiving everything for, because like we don't know if like WB will one day just like their stupid ass CEO or whoever will just decide it's like, who's Rooster Teeth? We don't care about them anymore. Take it all down. Take it all down. And then they were gonna go, but why? Just because we can, because we're corporate assholes. Oh man, that will be a move, and I will hate them forever at that point.
That's why I've also been getting super nostalgic, watching a bunch of old like, Funhouse videos and stuff like that, and
yeah,
man, it I'm not gonna lie, it kind of hurts. I think it's funny. I've been laughing at quite a few of them, but at the same time, it's like, these guys will never be able to make videos together again. Well, brilliant.
Not necessarily. I don't know. It's just like,
I mean, I get that. I'm sure. I at least like hope James goes the Bruce route and starts his own YouTube channel, but it just
starts a YouTube channel, starts streaming or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sucks to see this happen, dude.
I know. It's just so like. It's so much like quality content creators that are just like out in the blue or whatever, editors and everything like that. It's like literally just go back and look at anything that they did, and it's just like, it's really good. But considering that, everything in the gaming industry, tech industry this year apparently just wants to fucking get rid of everyone imaginable. It's just so annoying.
For as big and as successful as the games industry is, the fact that it's been on such a huge decline while simultaneously being at a huge incline financially, it's frustrating, and it makes zero sense.
It's at an all-time low when it comes to... well, not an all-time low, but like near an all-time low when it comes to like the trend, like where it's trending in a way. But at the same time, it's that these CEOs have never been more profitable than they are right now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's dumb. And you wonder why a lot of the indie games continue to be some favorite games. Say it every time, and I'll continue to say it.
Indie is the future of the industry.
So good, so good. I recently saw, since this kind of just came in my mind for some reason, that there was the old CEO, or was it the head of Xbox or whatever? Was it Paul Moore or something?
Yeah.
Was talking about when does he think that the end of the consoles, like where does it's like, oh, we're shutting down the PS5, but here's this new Sony streaming thing or whatever. All you need is like a PlayStation controller, and you can have like the cloud or whatever to play games. Like, when is that? And it's just like, and he said it's like, oh, I don't even think we're gonna have a PS6. Like, I think the PS6 is just gonna be cloud gaming. I mean, I could see it, but at the same time, I go, I don't know.
I think there will be one more like traditional console generation. In terms of just like physical as a format, though, I'm not sure how much, at least for video games, that's going to be around. It kind of sucks to say, but there's still... No, I'm not even sure if there's a future in that for movies either.
No, there isn't. With the way streaming is, and it's just like you can buy everything just digitally already. I mean, the fact is, what Best Buy, like not that long ago, that Best Buy had literally pulled all their DVDs. Like they weren't going to sell DVDs anymore in their place or whatever, like DVDs or Blu-rays.
Dude, that sucks. That makes me really upset. Like actually,
it's just crazy.
But
yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if it will be an all digital console. I do think we'll, like I just said, we will have one more traditional like console generation. Yeah, after that, I think it's just going to go to streaming.
I mean, if like whatever the next Xbox is or whatever the PlayStation 6 or whatever, it's like hell. It's like even now, it's like do I honestly think that like the Switch 2 even has like the cartridges or anything like that? And I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. Like, I think Nintendo cares. Like Nintendo kind of sees that like a lot of people like collecting that kind of stuff. Like they like collecting the cases and like displaying them, showing them off type thing, along with like the cartridges or whatever. Like it reminds them kind of like playing Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. That they don't want to get rid of them. But I don't know, man.
I think Nintendo's going to stick in the game at least a little bit longer in terms of physical media, but for specifically for reasons like that. But yeah, they're gonna succumb to it too, just like everyone else.
I just wonder, will it be like the Switch 2, or will it be the next thing after? Like, I honestly have no idea. Like, I don't know like how well like does the digital version of games do way better than the physical ones of games? The fact is though, like physical like games that weren't available like physically are starting to be available physically, which means that they're probably selling like that. Like I remember like, I mean it was years ago, but like when Hollow Knight first like there was like, oh, we're having our first physical release, because they never had one because they just released on Steam. And then I was like, I bought a Switch version of that or whatever. I mean, I bought the collector's edition that came with all like the extra like cool little collectibles.
Yeah.
But like, I like having that, and I think it's cool. So it's like, I don't know, and it's like I wish that like it's like, because what, like the big thing that like PlayStation and like Xbox have kind of tried to do is just like they've tried to copy that with the Steelbooks, and I feel like it's just a different. It's different players that want different things, right? They like yeah. A lot of people just don't really care to have like the Steelbooks or whatever. I still think they're cool.
I think they're really cool, yeah.
But it's just like I could see like, you know, some like 10-year-old game kid or whatever just going like, who cares? And that's just sad. I don't know. I just remember thinking that because I looked at like Brendan's Steelbook that he had for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was just like, "Fuck, this looks so good."
I'm actually upset that you don't own that. You bought it
totally. I bought it digitally because I'm a dumbass. I'm a dumbass. Waited too long.
You talk about loving physical media and
stuff
like
do this all the fucking time.
And then you buy Rebirth digitally.
Yep.
I'm disappointed. I do want to put on the record, I would have bought Alan Wake 2 physically, but they didn't release a physical version of it. And I wish they would so I could buy it.
That is true.
Seriously, if low chance, but if anybody from Remedy is watching this, you put out like a fucking $500 copy of Alan Wake 2, being like, oh yeah, it's the exact same game, but it's a physical copy, plus you get this big fuck off whatever statue of Alan Wake. Be like, cool, take all of my money.
I do that all the time where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'd love having physical media, then I just buy it digitally because I'm stupid. And I just go, damn it, why did I do this to myself again? I always wait too long. That's a damn problem. I always hate doing like pre-orders, so I always just like I always buy it like a day or two before it actually comes out, so I can still get the pre-order bonuses.
Yeah.
And then but it's like I only make the decision after I've seen like all of the thing if I'm not already on board. For Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I was on board from day one. Like, you didn't need to sell me on the game. I was already sold. Trust me.
That's the part. One of the reasons that I think, like, obviously the big reason, like, it's just more convenient. You know, you don't need to go out to a store and reserve a copy and then go pick it up afterwards. You don't need to order it online if you and wait for so long after the game comes out to actually play it. You can just say, "Oh, I'm at home. I can buy the game digitally, and when it comes out, I can just start playing it then." And it's just disturbing to me how okay a lot of people are with just not owning their shit.
Oh yeah, that is concerning.
I mean, even someone like me that advocates for stuff like Game Pass, it's like, okay, you shouldn't own all of your games and just play Game Pass, because it's like, if that ever becomes too expensive, if you ever can't afford that, that's your entire games library just gone.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't. Or if a game ever leaves Game Pass, or Xbox ever decides that they don't want to put something on there for whatever reason, it's like, that's just gone and you can't play it anymore. That's why whenever there's a game that even if it's a game that I've beaten and I just really enjoyed, and I hear it's leaving Game Pass, it's like, oh, I get a 10-15% discount for being on the service. Of course I'll buy that real quick to make sure I don't lose access to it. That's usually why I buy games digitally, because they also get way more discounts way more often.
Yeah. And see, that was also like the thing when it was just like when they were like, oh, it's when there was kind of like people were making the jump, when like companies were making the jump to digital or whatever, is that they always said it's like, oh, now that we don't have to like do discs, games will be cheaper. They're not. They're more expensive than ever.
You would hope that they would be cheaper, because you don't need to put all that extra money into manufacturing.
You don't need to manufacture the disc. You don't need to press the thing. And it's like that's and honestly, it's like that's how it should work. Like it should be like, if you want the disc or whatever, pay the 60 or 70 or whatever. But if you don't care for the disc and you want to pay for it digitally or whatever,
it's
here
like
you go.
cheaper.
Here it is for like 50, 60 or whatever. And it's just like, cool. Now we didn't have to, spend the thing or whatever. If like games continue to be doing that or whatever, it's just like, if you could do like, if there was like a way that like they could do like a pre-order thing where it's like anyone that wants the physical media stuff or whatever, like go to this website, click on this link or whatever, we'll get you the copy of the game as the disc or whatever, and like you can continually do that or whatever. And like but although if you don't do it like that, then it will only be out on digital and everything like that. Like I really want that to be the way, like that is just like, okay, we're going to launch this digitally, but if you want a physical disc or anything like that for the game, go to like our website, whatever. You want like Final Fantasy 17 or whatever, but we're only going to release it digitally. But if you want like the disc, the steelbook, and everything like that, go to our website or whatever, sign up for it, and and then you'll get like a link to like actually buy it when we have it available or whatever, and then they know how many copies they need to make to do it. I don't know how feasible that is, but it should be how it goes.
You would think. The problem with that process, though, is how much longer are we gonna be having, like, let's say we have like a PS6, even a PS7. How much longer are these consoles going to have disc drives?
See, and this is why I think that they should offer like, oh, if you like, obviously it's like it's not going to have a disc drive, but you should be able to have like the ability to put one on if you want to.
I suppose, but you think that's going through an awful lot of trouble for what at that point is probably going to be a pretty niche market.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't need to come with it, that it's like basically just an accessory that you can purchase to do so. Like, if you really want it, then you can. But if you don't care to have it, then sure, it's not a part of it. Or whatever. Some people will think that it's really annoying or whatever, and it will turn off some people or whatever. It's fine. But for the people who really like still want to have the disc or whatever, it's like, oh, if you can have like if you can like put in a disk drive or maybe even just have like an external disk drive or whatever with it. Mm-hmm. I think there was still a market where, especially if you could play like PS5 games on the PS6 with it, or even PS4 games on it or whatever, then I think there would be a market for that.
I think there would definitely be a market for that, especially. I didn't even consider backwards compatibility in that sense.
Exactly. It's like you could still play your own disc. Now, if you really wanted to get crazy with it, then you go like, oh, this could play like PS1 or PS2 games. That I don't think that'll ever happen.
No. And looking critically at this, it's like, let's say I'm in the shoes of of like Sony, and I'm thinking, oh, so I could give these guys a disc drive and they can play all their old games that way, and I could, sell it for like $50-$100 on top of the console that we're already selling. Or we could say, yeah, you can still play PS4 and 5 games on it, but we could also figure out a way to sell those games back to the customer, where they would have to basically buy it again. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Like it would like maybe put those games on our subscription service or whatever. So now instead of just paying like the base $100, they're paying like $10-$15 every single month to access those games. We got them now.
We got them. Boys, we did it. We got them.
It hurts me to say that, but at the same time, we need to remember that these CEOs are scumbags, and they want to milk people for everything that they possibly can.
Never did an intro again? It's fine. Who cares? Who needs them, right?
Fuck, I just thought about that. Shit.
Yeah, I kind of just got it right into things, so that's okay. I'm Andrew. That's Alex. Cool. Now you know who's talking to you for the past hour, 20 minutes or something like that. However long this shapes up being.
You forgot to mention the Onion.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, Onion. I forgot. How could I forget you? All right. I think he forgives me with that shake. All right. That's all I needed to know. Anyway, thank y'all so much for listening to whatever the fuck this was. Boy, it took some twists and turns I was not expecting today.
Oh shit! I just thought we didn't talk about Akira Toriyama at all.
Oh yeah. Next
week. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's like that. God, that made last week even just even shittier. It's like on top of hearing Rooster Teeth was shutting down, it's like, oh yeah, now the creator of Dragon Ball's died, and I'm like, fuck, man, that fucking sucks. So, yeah, we'll talk about it next week though.
Yeah.
Until then, be sure to listen to the other podcasts or whatever or anything like that. It's like last week, I kind of posted, just like general like my thoughts about Rooster Teeth kind of shutting down or whatever. So if you want to hear kind of what my initial thoughts were when I heard it, there you go. Go listen back to that or any of the other podcasts we have or anything like that. Any of the other previous podcasts or anything like that. And be sure to keep listening because we're going to keep doing this.
We should hopefully be having another friend of ours on soon.
Someday. I got to message him again about actually, getting on it because I feel like it'll slip his mind if I don't.
Yeah.
So, anyway, be sure to follow Alex wherever he does things or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna stream again at some point eventually, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, dude, same here. I don't know. I think I was partially waiting for me to actually finish 3 Reloaded because I was just like, fuck. I know if I start streaming, I'm not gonna finish it, and so I was just like,
let's just get it over with.
So I did. I ripped off the Band-Aid. So hopefully soon that will continue as well. But yeah, see y'all next week though. Bye bye.